Hello Johannes and Robert. Made this small video for you, so maybe it will be easier to know what the software changes are all about. First of all, the problems that we have with the existing software are the following. When we print a big batch of 500 to 1000 cells, it takes more than one day, and we sometimes have a breakdown on the machine or software, or we shut it down for the night and open up next day. Every time we generate a new data file. So one batch of cells might consist of 4 or 5 data files that are to be united, so we can have a look at all the cells afterwards, and that's very time consuming. We also have weighing errors when the cells are hanging on the, for instance, on the track here. During weighing, they are touching the sides, we get a wrong weighing. And on the existing systems we have the possibility to delete the products as we go ahead, but the operators that are standing here, they don't have the time to do that. So that means that we get some of the error weighings into the data file, and we have to manually sort them out afterwards, so that's a big problem. Also, the database files that are generated now with the existing system cannot be opened without a ball end extension for. So we have a lot of problems with the existing systems. Now we changed our quality control procedures, so we want to generate one big data file that has been cleaned out by for all the errors. And we cannot have a machine made macro do that for us. We need skilled operators to know what is a weighing error and what is real values. So that's why we need to do some changes on the software. But we also have an additional feature that is not within the software right now, and I would like to talk about that first. We would like to have the software to do on the scale number 1, where the cells are coming in. We want a validation of the weight, so that we can set a minimum and a maximum weight, and if the cell that is coming in is out of that range, the machinery should stop and give an alarm. The operators can come and take away the cell, throw it away, and need to confirm it on the software screen that that weighing is wrong and out of here. So, and that feature needs to be, we need to be able to switch that on and off, because we don't want to have this validation on every type of prints that we're doing. We're doing many prints, and it's only on certain types that we want this validation on the scale number 1, the incoming product. We need to be able within the software to set the limits, and the software needs to save these limits for the next time when we use them. So there should be a maximum value and a minimum value that you punch in, and the next time when you enable the feature, the value should be there again. So we don't have to punch them in every time. There will probably be the same values, but over time we might want to change them if we have a bigger or smaller cells. So that's a new feature that we will need to have implemented. The data about this validation is not to be saved in a data file or anything. It's just validating them, so that cells that are out of the regions are never pass through the machines. So that's a new feature. But we also need to change the feature that we have here because of the reasons I told you. We cannot clean out the data files on the go. We do that afterwards, and it's very time consuming. We have collected over 1 million single weighings, and nobody has the time to validate the correctness of all of these. Now, from now on, we want to begin to have average weight and the standard deviation on the total batch. So that means that the operators, without increasing their workload, need to clean out the data file, so that we get valid data for these. That for that we are imagining that we want to have a big screen. Now we have this small touch screen today here. We are calculating something like a 30-inch touch screen, and we set up some an interface is example I'll show you in a short while. But there are some things that we need to change on the way it's working today. Today we have the possibility to adjust the rails. We don't want that feature in the future because we don't use it. We disabled it. Down here. We already disabled it down here, and we move the rails manually and lock them in position by hand. It's much easier and faster than doing it by software. So that feature needs to be taken out. Otherwise, new features must be that everything must be compatible with Windows 7. We are having Windows 7 on all of our computers from now on, and we need these computers to talk to our data network, so they need to be within Windows 7. And the data file that is coming out needs to be in I would suggest an Excel file that can be opened by every computer. So today, when you want to open the database file, you need some kind of a Borland extension thing, and not everybody has that, so we want to get rid of that, so having the data output file as an Excel sheet file. Okay, and as it is today, the software is naming the data files by itself, and it's generating it by date and then a number of data files for this day. We want to, in the future, to be able to name that data file ourselves, for instance with the current batch number. And we also need to be able to decide what destination folder it is to be saved in. Let's have a look here. I made up, so we're imagining that each of the print lines is getting a big touchscreen. I'm counting on that we buy the touchscreen ourselves, and we want this big touchscreen because it helps to make the operators work easier, as they can quickly sort out the wrong data, even with their gloves on, just by punching in on the screen. And we are imagining that the operators will have to look on an interface that could be something similar to this. Now if you can just show the whole picture here, I'll try to go through it. So this would be what the operator would see during printing. There would be a menu button where if you go to that you can set up programs, and the programs is listed in another here, what program is selected right now. And the program, now this is just saying that this is a certain kind of cell that is being printed right now with a, it's a product file. The product file should then also have the scaling on a graph put in, that we can punch that in, so the operators can just choose the program and the scaling will be the correct. And the outer limits, the red lines or hard limits, and some soft limits, and the target value also be set in by standard when you choose the program. So this would be what the operator see. It's a continuous weighing data from the beginning to the end. We would like to have no more than 50 data points shown at any time, because otherwise the data points will be too narrow, and we are imagining that the operator would have to select some of the data points with his finger on the big screen. I'll come into that in a little time. This is just an overview of what the data file is being named, and this is our batch number for an example production here. Okay, over here we have, if you see here, there's a yellow line which is indicating what data point is currently chosen here, and the value is stated up here, so that if it's yeah, this is 0.6 grams, so it's shown here. If it was here, it would be 0.65 grams. So it's just so the operator can see which data point have I chosen right now. For instance, if some of the data points are below the scaling of the graph here, you can see that it's reading, for instance, minus point something. That would indicate a weighing error. And so when the data point is selected here, the operator would then have 4 buttons down here which would delete the current data file, data point from the database file. These are arrow types that I'm choosing. So there would be some, for instance, some dummy cells that we put together. So if the operator knows now these 5 data points are dummy cells, he would select them, choose dummy, select one, choose dummy, select one, choose dummy, and then these would go out of the calculation. The calculation up here shows that this is the average value of all the prints that are done so far, and it's the calculation are only done on valid data points. So the ones that he has deleted are not to be included into this calculation. Also, this goes for the standard deviation, only for valid data points. This means that once the batch is totally complete, the operator can finish that data file, and the whole file will be cleaned up, and it will not have cost the operators a lot of extra work cleaning up that data file. So we know it's valid data. We don't have that today. It's very time consuming, so this is something that we really want. As I mentioned, we only want to have shown something like 50 data points here, but a total batch, the total file could consist of 400, 500, 600 data points. So there needs to be some kind of way to scroll through to see the next previous 50 data points. Preferably we would like to have that either by a button that you can scroll backwards, or like an iPhone style you could draw the graph, but maybe that is a little advanced, so we could have an external keyboard set up with arrows that you could scroll through. It's not totally necessary that the operator can choose the data point with a finger, scrolling with arrow points, so that this graph would just scroll through. Could also be okay, but its best solution would be if he could just choose it by putting his finger on that data point that he wants, and then deleting that, or deleting that with some of this. This button here is for when he wrongfully selected one and deleted that, so he can restore that data point. Okay, go down to this here. This would be what I imagined a full dataset could look like. A dataset that has been cleaned. So the operator has chosen some of these weighings as being wrong, and the color is indicating what the error type is. So these green would be dummy cells that were put through. The pink ones, which is surrounding this button here, would indicate that there's an weighing error, for instance, where the cell has been touching the side during when it was on the scale, so it's a wrong. But the operator needs to make that decision, and so all of the colored lines here are taken out of the calculation when the average and standard deviation are calculated. And once the operator has scrolled through the whole data set and seen, yes, I've looked at all the data points and sorted out the ones that were wrong, he can end the data file and it will be saved. I will give an example in the email I'm sending to you also about how these graphs will look like, and also the Excel data file. Okay, what else do I have to say? Well, there's also a thin blue line here indicating that there was a broken cell, and some brown here where it's printed, where he ran out of ink, for instance, and he can indicate that cell has been taken out of the calculation because he washed it off and printed it again. but we still want all the data to be present in the complete data file, but we need to sort out all the errors weighing data. I'm gonna have a look at my manuscript to see if I got everything. Now you see I put everything in Danish here. I would you probably just do it in English for the beginning, and then normally in your software you have a text file where the bottom text is indicated, and then I can change it into Danish because I need to decide what these errors are called. But more on that in the email. This is just to give you an maybe a more hands-on feeling of what I'm looking for here. So big touch screen for the operators without all of this extra stuff. Only this, what you see here, some buttons where the operator is deliberately deleting some of the weighings, but he's doing it with a conscious that he's saying why he did it. That's why there's no text or nothing. It's only with a he can delete it, but he needs to indicate why he deleted them. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. I think that's it. For now, I'll write maybe more in detail in the email. Thank you.